If you want to learn programming, especially the HTML programming, there has been a lot of debate over the years. Is HTML is just a markup language or it is a programming language? But after a release of HTML5 and especially HTML5.1, there is no argument left because HTML5 and 5.1 had become a fully programming language. Now you can create JavaScript 2D, even 2.5D video games, web-based video games in HTML5 and 5.1. So as a recording, it is 2016. So now we are in a HTML 5.1 version. If you really want to learn the HTML programming, then this video is for you, but it requires some basic understanding of HTML. Because I'm not going to go into detail, I'm going to focus more on the HTML5 and 5.1, their new feature, what they are. So stick with me. It's me, Professor Ramey. So now the real question is, what is HTML? So HTML stands for hyper text markup language. So this is what HTML stands for, hyper text markup language. So why we use HTML? In next section I'm going to go into detail of the HTML history, but why we really use HTML? The basic purpose of HTML is to give some basic layout to the document. Yes, we do a lot of the basic layout nowadays with the CSS. That is normally just a styling scripting language which you are not going to cover. Even now CSS have animation in it, especially after release of the CSS3. So normally a website have three basic components nowadays in the modern website. One is HTML, second is CSS, and third is JavaScript. So the HTML basic layout is to just make things bold, or make it bigger, smaller, or put in a certain section. That was the original purpose of it. So for example, let me give you an example. Like when we are typing a document, we type, for example, like, just I'm giving an example like cool. We just type cool in Microsoft Word. But if you want to make it bold, we will click the bold button and then it will suddenly become like cool. So yeah, now this become bold. You are getting some idea, I hope so. So this is the normal cool written text. When I click the bold button in Microsoft Word or any kind of text writing editor, it suddenly become bold. Even I don't have to click the bold button, I can just highlight this cool text and then click Ctrl B, which will turn into bold. But what about if you don't have any text editor? We want to achieve the same. We want to achieve the same kind of result. Then we use HTML, because this is just making a markup. So HTML at heart is a markup language, which again means you are giving some kind of markup. You're giving some kind of instruction. For example, like we want to make this cool bold in HTML. How we are going to do? We're just going to write be cool and then be cool. Of course, if you're not getting what this means, then you need to understand the basic layout, which I'm going to cover in this tutorial. So this is how we achieve the basic purpose of marking up. So a normal website is just a document. It's just a plain text written boring, similar to a Craigslist website document, which you can use HTML to give certain heading, layout, size. And then even nowadays, after the release of HTML 5.1, we have the canvas element. So I wanna give you like a quick intro. What is a canvas element? So a canvas is like for example, this is just and website. If we are going to build a game, it's very hard, I mean, to render a game in a HTML. But after HTML5, now we have a canvas. So it means that we can use the HTML5 canvas element to render like an image, like this one. Oh hi, I'm a 2D platformer. Oh ew. Just an example. So this is called canvas. This is an element. Now here a lot of newbie get confused. What is element and what is tag? Tag. A lot of people get confused. They are always, I mean, mistaken. I mean, they think tag is element and element tag. That is not the real case. You need to understand the number one thing we use in a HTML to mark up, for example, like, I mean, just making like a text bold using the B tag, which is an tag, but it is an element. So let me give you an element, like, I mean, for example, like this is like B. Cool. So this is tag. So the B is tag. This is also tag. So you were saying, what, I mean, you Jimmy, Professor Rame, you were just saying that, I mean, it was an element. Here I want to clear something. If you see the first closing bracket, it is an tag. The first opening is an tag, the closing it is an tag. But when you combine these two, it becomes an element. So the official way of saying is that I'm going to use the B element. Even there's like, I mean, P for paragraph. I mean, P for paragraph, which also have like the closing paragraph tag. So this is tag, this is tag. When you combine into one, it becomes an element. But not all elements require two tags. So the most, I mean, the normal, I mean, element require two tags. I mean, tag 1, tag 2, opening, closing. Remember, when you open, you close with the same, but with a black backslash. But not all require a closing tag. That is called empty element. So the empty element is like this. I mean, if I want to give a break, I mean a line break, I can say BR and a space backslash. This is one tag and one element, so it is an element. So whenever people are referring to HTML tag, they are only referring to the HTML elements. So I like to call it HTML element. That is the official documentation which we are used to. So now I wanna give you like, I mean, like a basic understanding how the HTML5, I mean, elements work. For example, like P element is used for paragraph. This is just a P element. This is a P element with some kind of like attribute. I mean, like with a class equal cool. So this is a normal, I mean, ordinary P element with attribute. If we put something like in an element, we are giving like a class. I mean, this is a class. So for example, if I want to make the paragraph like bold, if I mean just write a simple line in CSS, it will turn all my web page into bold, because all of my web page text is nearly paragraph. But if I want certain part of my paragraph to be bold, I can give like a class. So when I am trying to do the styling in CSS, I will be just styling like this. I mean, I will be just using the cool class. I will calling the cool class, and then we'll be making the specific paragraph. So I am not going into detail because you need to watch my another lecture, which is like the foundation of HTML programming. This tutorial is target for who really want to understand a new element, the HTML5 programming, rather than who are really starting out to understand the basic. I will be covering basic. This will be very helpful but you need to have like a really basic understanding. So the next upcoming is history. What is the history of HTML and HTML5, and then it will be coming the body format and then elements and conclusion. Stick with me. So here is the HTML5 history. So HTML5 is the fifth version of the HTML language. So back in 1993, the original HTML was published. Yes, the original HTML was published. This was not like an programming language or any kind of consumer level markup language at that time. This was built for a specific purpose for a scientist, for a physicist. He want to use to mark up his document because he was working in the center. If you don't know, it was a nuclear research. CERN. CERN is a nuclear research organization. So the main purpose of the dude who invented the HTML was to make it easy for the document to be shared. The name of his was Tim. I can't remember his whole name, to be honest with you. Tim Berners-Lee. So that was the name. It's anyway, we just call him like that, Tim. Much better. So Tim was working as a physicist in a CERN, again a nuclear research organization. It's a like atom nuclear, for use for the civil purpose. So he want to share some documents, but of course, he want to highlight some of the, on the document. He want to make some text bold, but he can't. So he invented a markup language called HTML. After that, the major version of HTML was released called HTML 2.0, which was published in 1995. And then we jump to the HTML 3.2, which was published in 97. 3.2 was also a major version released 97. And then the real, the game changer for making website was HTML 4.01, which was also published in 1997. And then finally HTML5, which was published in 2012, and then it took off in 2014. But there is a major part, and thanks to the W3C, which stands for Worldwide Consortium. Before the release of HTML2, there was no standard. Whoever want, they was inventing some kind of bullshit element in HTML, and then not all web browser render. At that time, there was a epic war going on between Microsoft Internet Explorer and then Netscape. And then some elements, some tag work in Netscape, some do not. Some work in Internet Explorer, some do not. So there was an non-profit organization was made called W3C. Up to now, W3C is maintaining all of the standard of it. W3C was a revolutionary concept. Back in the days, they make sure that all web browser rendered identical HTML with defining what HTML tags are. They nowadays they got like the monopoly on HTML, but still it's a good monopoly. I really don't have any problem. So HTML2 was a major release which was backed by a W3C standard. So HTML5 was launched in 2012, and HTML5.1 is ready to be launched. Some parts and some features are not fully implemented, but it's now fully capable of launching in 2016. As I'm recording this lecture, HTML 5.1 had been already implemented, but certain features are not supported. So that was a quick history. Again, I want to recap. There was a dude called Tim who was a physicist who was working in an organization called CERN. It's a nuclear organization. He want to share some kind of research nuclear document, but he want to mark up. He want to like make it bold. I really don't know why he can't use Microsoft Word back in the days. Maybe there was no Microsoft Word. Yeah, there was no Microsoft Word that we used to know. So he invented a HTML for his own specific purpose. But HTML suddenly became a huge popular language for creating the website in 95 when HTML 2.0 was published with a standard. 1995 was the age of internet when everyone was saying, wow, what is a website? What is internet? Wow, can we go to msn.com? What is AOL? What is IE? Netscape? Wow. Nowadays, we see like smartwatch or VR, like Oculus Rift. We say, wow, it's future. But back in 95, was the year of the internet, was the year of making website, was the year of HTML defining the future. So that was a quick history of HTML. Next is HTML body format, how we write the HTML5.1 body format. So now let's start writing the HTML body format. So to make a website based on HTML5.1, you need to give some kind of basic declaration. We call it the doc type. Doc type space HTML and close. So this is the number one thing you need to write. Explanation point, doc type HTML. The second point you need to write is head. Now we write a head like this one, head, but it's much better you define the language in the head. What language is going to be using. So the language, of course, if you're building also most probably is going to be English, right? So we are going to say lang equal en. So this is the language. And then I wanna make it like a closing head. Okay, let's make it a closing head below. Whenever you open some kind of element, it's most properly you need to close with a tag. So like closing head. But inside head we can have a title. Title can be like this. Cool tab, and then we close with again title, and then now this is the head section. I want to jump to the bottom, the body section. We open the body tag and then we close the body tag at the bottom with backslash body. If you remember, we had opened this one HTML doc type element, but we didn't close with a tag. Let us close again, backslash HTML. You don't need to write the full one. So this is how you make it. First you need to give like an doc type, which is just a simple declaration that this website is built on the foundation of HTML5 programming. Head, whatever is between the head will not render on the website. The only thing which will be rendered on your website, that is in a tab. If you don't know, like if you use Google Chrome, there's tab, the title tag. The title tag will render on that tab. Whenever you click, rest of the thing, whatever it is between the body, it will render. For example, like let me give a paragraph like I am super I'm super cool, maybe I'm super cool, and then close the P. So again, I want to make something clear. Whatever you write in the body will render on the website. Whatever you put in the head tag will not render on the website. So a lot of people like to give their link to the CSS file in the head. I mean, head is really very important. If you want to put some kind of scripting, I mean, you can put on the head. It's much better. The only thing which will render on the website, but it will only render on that tab window. If you don't know, I mean, like I'm in the tab, I mean, for example, for example, like something like that. I mean, MSN, I mean, Yahoo, Facebook. I mean, for example, when you're like using the Google Chrome, there's a tab, there's like short, I mean, favicon or some kind of basic instruction. I mean, the title name is written, I mean, MSN, Yahoo, Facebook. So whatever you put in a title element will render in the tab. The only thing which will render in the tab, whatever you put in the title, the rest of thing will render inside the body. I hope this make the format easy. You don't stick with this format, just go to Google, type HTML5 format, HTML5 body format. Next is HTML5.1 element. So if you was waiting for, I mean, what's new in HTML5 and 5.1, what is the meaning of HTML elements, I mean, why, I mean, there are so many new elements, and then you got confused what element to use, then next it is coming. So now here are the HTML 5.1 element. So I will be telling you, introducing you 23 new HTML 5.1 element, and basically they all are the HTML5 element. So I'm not going to give you like any specific 5.1 elements, I mean. So the number one element is article. So if you are going to put some kind of, I mean, information on your website, then I mean you can put it like in an article, I mean, element. For example, like a news or blog post, I mean, so article element. But if you want to make something like on a left corner or a right corner, or if you want to, I mean, give something like information which is related, I mean, use aside. Do not change aside. Again, I'm going to tell you, aside do not put on left or right. But if you are, for example, like HTML5 element, you want to give like more basic information what is element, you can put the extra information in aside. Again, mean this is an aside information which you can say extra information. Number 3 is detail element. So detail element, it can be hide and seek. For example, like I mean elements, I mean if I click on the element, I can see like extra information which is detail. Detail and aside are similar. The thing different is that we cannot click on aside, but we can click on detail. If I want to make hide and see, I will use detail. Number 4 is dialog. For example, if I'm using, I mean, if I want to give like more information with the elements, I can use like an open window. So again, you need to understand, aside will give like an extra information be underneath it, or aside. Detail, same concept, but you can click and hide the information. Dialog, which open a window, I mean beside or right in front of it, will give you some more information. So if you want to like grab some user attention, you can use a dialog window. Also, for example, like there's some kind of, I mean, comic character, you can use dialog. You need to be creative, I mean, you really need to be creative. I mean, sky is the limit in an HTML 5.1, to be honest with you. So number 5 is, we already covered this one. Number 5 is figure. For example, figure, I mean, figure is quite easy to understand. I mean, figure is like a self-contained, I mean, or isolated, I mean, text or images like this box. I mean, if I want to put an image, I mean, but I want to self-contain, I will put it in figure. Most of the time I use figure a lot on my website because I really like to self-contain. So number 6 is figure caption. If I mean figure caption, you use inside the figure like a basic caption of the image. Number 7 is header. Do not get confused with the head tag. Again, I'm saying number 7 is header. Do not get confused with the head tag. Header, I mean, in header you can put your navigation link or the main information. I mean on the top. Number 8 is footer. Footer is like the bottom. I mean you can see like like this one. I can show you like here. This is a website. This can be the header or the banner where it go. This is the body and this is the footer. Like this footer contact us. So this is a header, this is a footer. It's just like a container, like a div. Container. You can use footer and then you can manipulate the footer. From there on. Number 9 is nav. Use this one to put your navigation link. If of course for your navigation link here for your menu drop, very easy to understand. Number 10 is main. The main purpose of main is making that thing again becoming like a main, to be honest with you. To define for example this is header, this is footer, and this is main. You're saying, listen, Professor Rame, why should I use main? I will be just putting my all of the main contact just in a body. Yeah, you should. But if you want to optimize your website for the search engine SE or search engine optimization, just follow the basic HTML5.1 standard, which is defined by the W3C. Put it main. A lot of web developers still are not using main. You should be using main. Header, in header you're putting your navigation links. Your nav will be coming in header. In footer, again you can put images. You can put like self-contained images. You can put in like a figure. In main, the main body, the main content of it. So now number 11 is menu item. Menu item, a lot of people still do not grasp the basic concept of it. The main purpose of a menu item is like a pop-up menu, to be honest with you. Pop-up menu, how to and give you an example. I can basically give you an example, to be honest with you. Like when I click on something, suddenly there's a drop down menu. I hope you are getting the idea. Some people, web developers, still are not using. I can understand. They are not really how the web browser we rent up to right now. All major web browsers are supporting this element, but again for example I click on menu, suddenly the menu drop out. I'll be using the menu item. Number 12 is meter, and number 13 is progress. I'll be covering these two at the same time. Why? I wanna give you an understanding. For example, if I am just writing a blog, post on my website, I can use meter. I can say my programming skill is like 70%. So if I use the meter, it will appear like 70% is my my progress. Same with the meter. So now is the basic confusion. Meter, progress, both of them do the same. So how should I use them? They both display a graphical image, but how should I use what time should I use a lot of web developer and content creator get confused with it. You should use the progress when you are progressing something like 70%, 100%. You should use the meter to give an indication of how quite confused to say you to use a lot to get a better understanding. A meter can be this is like a meter. Today you achieve like 70% score, you use meter. Today you have 70% progress, you use a progress. I hope this is because it's very hard to explain. If we are writing like some kind of your game have been progress up to this one, use progress. If you are going to show your progress, always use a progress, otherwise just use a meter. I hope this make it easy. If you want to show your progress, just show the progress, otherwise use the meter. Meter and both of them are similar, but meter is just like a graphical meter which you can manipulate, and progress is just showing you how much progress you have done. And number 14 is the Ruby. Still a lot of people don't understand. This is have nothing to do with the Ruby programming. Ruby element is element. For example, if you're using some kind of East Asian language, I mean, sometimes the web browser can't render, you'll be using a Ruby, because basically Ruby will display a small text before the language and then will tell what is a what was inside that language. For example, I'm writing a Korean Hangul, I'll be using Ruby to give a an basic annotation what will be inside. Number 15 is RP. RP tell what is inside which can't display. I mean, for example, like RP, I mean what inside, and this footer, if for example for certain reason the web browser can't display. And RT is basically to tell, I mean, what is the pronunciation. For example, some kind of Korean word or Japanese word we can't pronounce, we can use RT. Number 17 is section. So section is I mean making a specific section. So in mean, I mean element, I can make 4 section, 1 2 3 4. I hope you're getting the picture. So I mean I can use section, I mean, to easily organize my content. Number 18 is summary. This is very useful if you're writing a review blog post. Always use summary to, for example, you want to give a conclusion, use summary. I mean, it will help you a lot, I mean, to show the detail. But also you can make it hide and seek. I mean, it's hide and seek. You click, the summary will come. I mean, click again, the summary will come. Number 20 is WBR. WBR is word break opportunity. For example, if you're using a very long word, I mean X, English word, X, it's super long and you're worried that the web browser can't display, you can make the word break. Number 21 is BDI. BDI is very useful for Arabic. I mean, for example, Arabic is always written from right, English is written from left. For example, if I'm writing Arabic, I mean, I don't know how to write, yeah, like this. For example, I'm writing Arabic, I want to make it appear on the left. I mean, I can say I mean, let's make like this. I mean, an easy Arabic. Okay, 20%, whatever. When I'm writing Arabic in a web browser, it is going to appear on the right. But I want to make it appear on the left, so I'll putting the Arabic content in the BDI element. I mean BDI is for using for certain language. It's not useful unless you're writing an Arabic. Number 20 is time. You can, I mean, it is not going to give you the current time. You can put whatever time you like. Number 23 is mark. The best, my favorite. It's just highlighted. If I want to make 70% highlight in yellow, it will highlight it. Simple as that. So these were the elements of the HTML5, and next is coming conclusion. So this is the conclusion. I mean, in this one I will recommending you some books. I mean, firstly I want to recommend you 3 major website to learn. Number 1 is W3C School. You can learn HTML5 elements very fast, even there is a quiz section. Number 2 is HTML5tutorial.com. You can find a lot of detail on each specific element. And number 3 is Mozilla HTML reference. Again, I used these 3 websites when I was starting out to learn HTML. And then now to the books. The number 1 books I will recommend is HTML CSS Design and Build website. I recommend this book. The link will be in the description box, but it will be an affiliate link. Again, I don't care. You can buy from your local brick and mortar store. You can just go to Amazon, find this book. HTML and CSS Design and Build website. This book is written by John Dockett. I love this book. This is a visually colorful representation how an website should be look. I mean, it is representing how a website to be built, how it will look, a mobile device, a tablet. I mean, this is the best book ever written. And number 2 book is, you can buy, I don't know, you can buy separately. I like the Web Design Pocket Guide box set. Web Design Pocket Guide box set, and then I love it. I wanted to really take it out of my city. It's not coming out. Come out. So I really like this book. I mean, it's the HTML HTML5 Pocket Guide. A lot of people think that you need to memorize all the element. I mean, no, just by a pocket guide you can't understand. Look into it. I mean, it have like nearly every HTML5 element covered in it. I mean, so most of the time as a web developer we don't need to memorize all of the stuff. We can just use a pocket guide with some basic book, make the things done. Okay, and I hope you like my class 101 on HTML5.1 programming. It's me, Professor Rame. Click the like button, click the subscribe button if you think this was helpful to you, or otherwise leave the negative comment. I'm ready to accept the criticism because I'm your Professor Rame. Of course you can hate me, like me, dislike me, but you can't ignore me. Bye. See you another day with another tutorial. If you want to see like a specific tutorial, leave in the comment box below what tutorial or what class should I make or what lecture be open. I did a lot of my experience. I mean, in real world I was a network guy, a sysadmin, network web developer. So you can say like any technology tutorial I can do for you unless it is outside of my main domain. Bye.